Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Unveiling Paradise podcast. Joe, how's your day going?
So far, so good. We are in the middle of recording our 6th season. Is that right?
We are in season 6, and I'm feeling really, really good about it. How are you feeling about season 6 and us not killing each other?
That's always the goal, right? Don't end the podcast in a murder mayhem spree.
We change it to a true crime podcast, real life. But we are back in studio today, and we are continuing the never-ending debate. Live music versus DJ for your wedding. Is there one better than the other? Is there a place in a wedding for both? Should we do live music for only ceremony? Do we need live music for dancing? Should we have DJ for all? Can they come together and do both at the same time? I have so many questions and so many things on my mind, which is why I'm so stoked that we have a guest in studio today.
Yay!
Yay! And so I want to introduce my dear friend. She is a singer, she is a songwriter, she is a manager, she is very cool. She wears some of the best hats that I know. I made her let me try on her hat one day, but it is Jenn Wright. Jenn, thank you so much for being here. We're so stoked to have you.
You guys sound so great on these microphones. The mic handling skills are just to be...
That's such a compliment coming from you. It's amazing.
I want to say, and you know what? You guys should have seen we were cracking all these jokes, and then it was time to start. And it was like, and we're here. And it was like, what? I was like, what? Who are you?
I'm very professional. You know that.
I love it.
Tell us about all the hats you wear.
Okay, well, I literally do wear a hat nowadays, but I started off as a musician in the industry, and really, like, it was a band, and we won a songwriting contest, believe it or not, for a local music radio station. It never stopped since then. That was about 1998, and I've been doing it ever since. That probably says a lot about how old I am now, but I'm really proud of the things I've done, and through that time of doing the music, you know, the band changed. There was MTV Unplugged came out during that time because it was early 2000s. So then the shift of full band into acoustic came in. That's how Simple Souls came to be. There weren't a lot of women doing the same stuff. So it was kind of just like, you guys should do it. Like, there's not a lot of girls doing it. Like, you guys should do it. And so I went from playing drums to playing like congas or percussions. And then my best friend and dual partner, Zaisha, graduated from nursing school, and she had to start doing that full time. So then I had to learn to pick up the guitar. So now my primary gig is playing guitar and doing vocals with another artist, Melanie. So it certainly has evolved for me, but I think I've been able to do it because I want to. Like, I actually enjoy it. I meet a lot of cool people doing it. Music's great therapy. I can purge. Like, there's so many things I love about it. And so this constant evolving that I've done is just because there was a need, or because that's where it felt right to do, or it just was a challenge. So that included getting into management. Artist management was just Zaisha and I, while we were doing our acoustic things. My mom stopped managing us. We were young, so my mom we needed a guardian. But my mom stopped managing us, and we worked with somebody that did booking that kind of took advantage of us for a bit. And so there was some handling of money, and it just really was a simple conversation that could have happened, and it turned into like just things that weren't said. And through that really interesting time, we learned, well, I would never want to do that to anybody else. So an opportunity came up for artists that said, I'd love to do the kind of music you guys do, but I don't even know where to go and who to ask. Zaisha was like, you should manage this artist and like help her. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And so we would just literally bring in artists to our gig and be like, you guys should hear them. Like, maybe we should bring them in over here. And that's literally what it was. It was, we established ourselves and started getting our own venues that we would book. And then because they liked what we did, it was a great word of mouth to be able to say, like, I actually have another artist that does this kind of similar vibe. You down if we try? And then to make them feel better, I would do gigs with the artists to kind of let them know, like, I'll be playing too. And then the artists, I'm very confident in finding good quality artists, I feel like. So it meant a lot. My word meant a lot for venues and other places too, which would be like, okay, I'll give them a shot. And the artists would end up doing their own thing and they would get busy, but it was like, yeah, I knew they would. I mean, that's generally how it all came about. It kind of started like that.
One of the things that we talk about on the podcast a lot is, obviously when people are planning their wedding, if you have good food, you're going to have good memories. If you have crappy food, crappy memories. Entertainment, music, right? If you have good music and good entertainment, it changes, or bad, I guess you could say, it makes or breaks an event. If people are dancing, or if they're sitting on the sideline, or if they're feeling, whatever that musician's
gigging.
vibe.
Yeah, if they gigging, they're vibing, they're bopping their heads and stuff. That does matter.
I think one of the things that's really challenging for a lot of our couples is trying to figure out what's the right fit, and I think so many people want to have live music at their wedding. How do you find that? And I think that's something that there's so many talented artists on this island. Like, how do you find that right fit for your wedding?
Yeah.
And do you have a live musician?
Yeah. I will say that's actually how we have the company we have now. I have a business partner, co-owner, Quinn. Shout out to Quinn Miyashiro. But GateKeyLiveMusicVerse.com is a company that we built for reasons like that. It did start with artists we represented, but then we are now in a place where we can find them for you too. Like, our main objective when you're trying to reach out is, if you don't already have an artist in mind, that you could be like, hey, I'm looking for somebody for this. This is the vibe I'm looking for. Do you have anybody? And we try our best to curate the best options for those clients, those couples that want those things that don't know. It's still always going to be encouraged. Like, you should still get to know them. Like, don't just rely on what we recommend. Go look up the videos or go to the gig and see how they are, and just see, do I really feel something? Do I really see them there?
Going back to, DJs versus live music is a vibe, right? And you're just kind of hitting it. Professionals really kind of enhance it, right? It's not just any random singer off the street, right? Any random Craigslist DJ. You still need professionals. You want people that are going to do a really good job for your wedding day. Yeah. And it makes my job easier. It obviously makes the day run smoother for everybody. So that's what we're talking about today. Just how do we set the vibe of your wedding with music? So let's get started. Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred and Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today, we are taking on the big challenge of trying to figure out what is the right vibe for your wedding music.
Yeah.
I think this is one of these questions that, we go back and forth on. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to a wedding or a party where the music just doesn't fit? Maybe it's an artist or maybe it's a DJ. It just doesn't fit the crowd.
Mm-hmm. No, but Joe, like, seriously, I'm so glad you said that, because as an artist, we've had people want to curate every song. And then, my dual partner, Daisha, she's from Hawaii Island, the big island. And the reason why I say that is because the Tita part comes out. And so we've had people that are super like, I want these songs and like this can I get a song list? Well, here's all the things I want. And I'm just like, well, we usually like to see what the vibe is with your guests and what the, what the energy is like, and kind of go from there. But if you want to give us some things you might like, some specific songs, but a handful, and then we can go from there. But they want to be in control of the whole thing, because to them, it's exactly the way they want it. But what we found is when we tend to kind of be a little rebellious there and be like, we're going to pick some songs they really emphasized, and we're just going to do our own thing, we actually get more praise and appreciation from the couples after, where they're just like, I wish I never told you what to play, because when you guys started doing all this and this and this, I was like, wow, I really just stumped what you probably could have done for me if I just let you do what you do. But that was not to, it wasn't him. He just was referred, and just we showed up. And so he didn't really pick who we wanted. So he was kind of just like going off of that. So when you say that, I'm just like, the vibe sometimes is down when a couple thinks too hard about what is going to make me happy. And then they clearly and quickly realize when they go and they start playing the curated list that their guests are like, what is this? And then they're just like, and then they put it back on the DJ or the musician and say, can you just switch it up and can you do this? I'm like, well, you just told us to do specifically mellow, and now you're telling us to do opposite. And some artists are not equipped to change.
I think that's so interesting what you're saying, because I think that like some artists, I'm going to say amazing artists, have like a sixth sense where it's just being able to, I don't know if this is like, you know, hearing, touch, and being able to read a crowd, right? When you are in touch with that crowd and you get their vibe and you start seeing like, I don't know, the energy start building, like some artists are just amazing at doing that. And if you're stuck and you're like, we have to play this genre and everyone is just like, you know, rolling their eyes and just stuck in their chairs or whatever it is, it is part of being a performer, right?
It's part of being a performer, and it's also it's just a way of life. When you connect with people, when you meet someone for the first time, there's people that you meet that you're just like, you forget their name in 2 seconds. And there are people that you meet and you have like a 5-minute conversation and you remember that person 6 years later. It's just the connection's instant. If you allow yourself to be open or prepared for that exchange, it's the same with a wedding. Now, you invite people you want to have at your wedding. These people are important to you, whether they're a relative or they're a dear family or friend, but you intentionally create a list. There's people that don't make it, but most of the time people will pick people that they want to have share this moment with them. They're important some way in their life toward this relationship or to them as a person. And then sometimes the list has to be really small. So you're really intentional. If you're going to be intentional with those people, don't you want to make the whole experience intentional? So for me, I'm just like, yeah, when you're so stuck on controlling certain things, it's like, let those go, because you're not even going to hear half of the things. So find somebody that's going to connect. And it's the same with music. Is most of the time, if you watch, I'm going to sing with my eyes closed. But one thing that I know I feel really great about is like, there's reading the crowd, and there is like vibing off of that. And if you see 1 or 2 people just like, oh, and they're just really getting, you know, they're just gigging, right? They're just digging in and they're feeling it. And you get a hoot or holler sometimes, you get people dancing, then you're like, oh, 90s, 2000s, oh, this. And so you kind of figure, okay, and then you're actively looking in your bag of tricks and you're just like, okay, well, people are dancing. How many people are dancing? Okay, there's actually a significant amount of people that are dancing. And so then you say, can I continue to call out, if I'm a looper and I have to play the same thing, should I switch a loop, or should I just now drop certain instrumentation out and keep the same beat and just keep them moving, because I don't want to lose this crowd for however long they're going to be dancing. So I feel like it's all connected. And the thing I love to do with music is you can read the crowd and go off the crowd, but you can also kind of take the lead in what the energy is going to look like. So sometimes they might not be dancing, but you kind of might glance over and see like, okay, they seem to be into this upbeat and stuff, or no one seems to be really into the upbeat stuff. So I'm going to take this opportunity to just keep it chill and do this mid-tempo and then see what's happening. And then you kind of read it that way, and you also kind of create a scene and you just roll with it. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's a gift really to be able to be a part of someone's special day like that. Like, we're also DJing, I feel like, you know, we're also like meddling and DJing and moving things along. So I think it all goes hand in hand, as long as the person you pick has the ability to either be in charge of what that looks like or be able to read the room.
Okay, so to your point, right? It's reading the crowd, being able to do this. DJs can do that as well, right? So it's understanding
Absolutely.
live music, DJ, having a professional, having someone that can read the crowd, and giving that professional the freedom to make that call is really kind of the key to success, right? Whether it be live musicians, giving them the freedom to change up their music, change up the type of music that they're playing is really important. Same with DJs. And we've had weddings where I've seen an 80 song playlist, and it's not just play these songs, but play them in this order. You didn't need a DJ, right? At that point, because they may be hitting like Baby Got Back in the middle of dinner, and you're like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and you're doing the DJ disservice, because people are be pissed at the DJ.
And they're going to blame him.
And they're going to blame them, like, what? Like, can you do this? And they're like, I can't actually have to do it. It just sounds crazy.
So it's trusting your musician, whether it be a DJ or a live musician, trusting them and giving them the freedom to make those decisions. So basically, right, live music, DJs, they both need to be able to have the freedom to feel the crowd, understand the vibe, and trust that you've hired these professionals for that reason.
One of the things that I really like what you're saying, Jen, too, is like just trying to understand what that person, that band, that musician, that DJ, that photographer, what they do. Like if you're planning a wedding, how do you really find out like what the vibe of a musician is? If you maybe don't get to see them in person, or what is your advice? Like, how do you know that this vibe is your vibe? They're going to make it for your wedding, you know?
That's why I love this podcast. Because if you set your intentions and you go and you reach out to either the artist and you have specifics of what you actually need with also giving the creative control sort of, then you're going to get the most out of it. But everything is still a gamble. It is going to really depend if that artist has asked questions, or if you have the right company running sound for you to make sure the artist has everything they need. Like, so there's so many things to take into place. First and foremost, they're artists. Artists, when you think of artists, you think of painting, it's the same, I think, with all of us. It's still an art to do those things. If your objective is to give your guests the best time while they're experiencing this new moment with you, let the artist do art. Let them be creative, but give them an idea of like, hey, we really love these artists. Like, if you can give us something like that. And sometimes the artists might not know those artists. So are you willing to pay for them to learn it? Are you willing to be like, hey, I know you said you don't like, Lady Gaga, but would you be willing to do some Lady Gaga songs? They might have a fee for that. But if you really, really want to hear it and you want to hear this artist do what they do, but incorporate these things you want, ask them if there's a fee, or ask if they even do that. And if they don't, are you okay if they just do like, oh, you like Lady Gaga? Like, you mean old school Lady Gaga or new school Lady Gaga? Oh, old school Lady Gaga? Okay, so you like pop? Okay, well, we got some pop. And so sometimes it's just the artist might be able to ask questions and be like, okay, well, I feel like I know what you're asking for. If you're asking for like pop or you're asking for throwbacks, okay, we can make the vibe throwbacks. So, but you're still giving them creative control in a sense.
So Jen, one of the things I really like what you're saying is like falling in love with the artist's vibe, and if you're giving this sort of like really scripted playlist, you're taking away that artistic freedom. Sometimes for us, like as photographers, we'll get these, we'll get 20 pages of their Pinterest photo wishes. And it's like, these are nice, but this isn't their wedding. This is somebody else's wedding,
right.
And so it's like, sometimes I think the best work we do is when we're being present, when we're watching what's happening, when we're able to kind of feed off of that energy in that space. When you're choosing probably a live musician, it's like trying to just figure out like, what is their vibe? Like, how do you really, does it feel good to you? Could you imagine seeing them playing at your ceremony or at your reception or your cocktail hour?
Yeah. I would say that, like, now that we're talking about it, I've never thought about this until now, but like, I would say for couples, if you actually wanted the perfect wedding, create a bio for you. What is your story? How did you guys meet?
Like that.
How did you guys meet? And what do we need to know about you so that we can figure out how to best present who you are? That's going to depend on your bio. Now, if we don't know your story, how you met, we don't know. And some people might not care, but if you create a bio that just generally says, we met here, we're country folk, or we're from the city, we love going out and dancing and partying, we want our guests to have a good time. Most of our friends also, like, we met at the clubs, or, we've grown together. Create something, a story that really shares who you are. I bet you anything, if you were to give those to every vendor you have, they would also have input. And then you got like someone like Tessa that's like a conductor too, so we have our artists, but you have someone that knows everything about everybody and they're running it. It's a whole orchestra. I'm giving you props.
I know. I'm appreciating it.
But it is important, and that's why is you can run those creatives separately. But I don't know if you guys know anything about artists, but sometimes depending on who you got, we go a little off the rails. So you do want to have somebody there that's going to make sure that people are there on time, that they have everything they need, that they're not running over, that if pictures are taking long, like can you keep going, or how can I move this program? And you have to have someone there and not just leave it up to who knows what, because then your guests are gonna get bored. So isn't it crazy how like we all just kind of contribute like our own thing? You really can have the perfect day if you let us know more about you and why are we even there? Like, why did you pick us? Why are you willing to pay this amount to have us there? And I think if you can be really honest and intentional about that and talk to each other and feel like, what are we trying to accomplish here? Is it about us? Is it about our guests? What are we trying to do? What do we like? Why do we even pick you? Be intentional about that request, because even that's going to spark a lot of passion in your artists or the people you pick.
One of the things we always talk about is the difference between professional and novice. When a client works with you, what's the difference between them and, their uncle who's in a band? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I really don't like to offend people by saying professional and professional. To me, if you're just looking at what the term is for me, professional is someone that gets paid to do it regularly. And
I disagree though, because I think it's do it well, right? Anybody can get paid to do anything, but do you do it well? And do you every time have amazing results?
Yeah, I mean, so yes, it is a loose term, but technically if you're getting paid, you should be a professional. But we know a lot of professionals that are unprofessional. Unprofessional meaning like you don't return a call, or you don't ask enough questions, and you're unprepared, or you forget something at home. That's unprofessional, but you still get paid and you still do stuff. So yeah, like the difference, I just think it's a brand. I think that every artist is to look at themselves as a brand. And I think that if you want to get gigs that you add value enough where someone's willing to pay a really decent amount of money for you, what are you actually bringing to the experience that makes them want to pay the money? And can you continue to do that? And I hate that we even use the term uncle, but we use that because it's just like, it is like that. Like they just come over and kind of Kapila jam, and people go, oh, jam session. I'm like, well, jam session, like what's your idea of a jam session? What's my idea of a jam session is completely different. And so I'm like, because I can jam with some hammers that have been doing these for decades. And then I'm also can jam with uncle, but I'm probably going to, like, it's a different energy and it's a different expectation. So, I mean, like the uncle idea or the homie from school idea, I think it's just more low key of you don't have expectations. Like you don't expect them to be dressed in a suit. You don't expect them to know all these songs.
But what I love about you is like, I can tell you that you're an amazing artist, but also the level of professionalism that you bring to an event. We talked about this offline, but like a lot of what you do in preparation on the day of, you're going to make sure that the DJ has all the correct audio that's going to make your sound right. You know what I mean? So like, let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's so important that, it's not just being an amazing artist, but it's about also being able to be amazing in front of a live crowd.
Let me jump in. As a planner, I think for me, my definition of professional is a little broader in the sense that you're coming to the table, you're bringing your skill, but you can step back and see how you affect everything else, right? And I think that's it. If you're coming in as an artist and you don't care about the timing, you haven't talked to the DJ, you haven't whatever, like for me, it's the same as a professional hair and makeup artist coming in, but being late, doing their own thing, not concerned about when photo starts or ends, keeping the hotel room messy so the photographer has to clean up. You're doing your job technically as you should as a professional, but you're not being professional to everybody else. And so I think that's a big thing. It's being able to work with a vendor who understands and can take a step back and see, oh, I do affect everyone. If I haven't talked to the DJ or if I haven't worked out my sound needs beforehand, that's not going to help the wedding day. Your planner's going to be running around trying to find something. Your DJ is going to be frustrated. The entertainer, the live performer is not going to be sounding their very best. And that affects everybody, So it really, professional is a broader term for me, understanding that everyone needs to come fully prepared, understanding how you're affecting everything else on the wedding day.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. I now, when we talk to artists that we work with, we remind them, you're not just a musician. We use the term music artist because I do have expectations for you. Don't make me wonder what you're going to sound like if you come with a wrinkled outfit. Like, if I see a wrinkled outfit or I see that you're wearing slippers, like, and without a logical reason behind that, why, I already judged you, and I can't help it. You look like a slob.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, like, and for me, I've also had to learn that. Like, so I think what I just realized is when I've personally left a gig, a private event, whatever the case, when I leave fulfilled, if I take the time to figure out, well, why did I enjoy that so much? It's because they sounded amazing, because the sound guy knew exactly what they were doing and they cared. And there was enough time for me to set up. I'm in a right state of mind. Oh my gosh, the couple, it's so beautiful. The wedding's so great. Wow, everybody that I worked with was so helpful. They had a coordinator that checked on us, because just because you're a coordinator doesn't mean you check on people. Oh, I asked for these bottle of waters. Yes, we do ask for bottles of water. We asked for that, and we got something that met our request. We have hospitality writers of things like, if you want the best, this is what we're going to need from you. We need this to be this. It's not a big ask, and some artists do ask for a lot. But whatever the case is it's an exchange. You want this from me? Cool. This is what I need from you. And then it might be limited, but it might also be quick, like, okay, you don't want to pay for sound for me to bring sound? Okay, then I need to connect to the person who's going to run sound. And that's important, not for all artists, but it is for me and the artists we work with, or at least artists I work a long time with. They get it. Because I'm like, don't you want to have like the right amount of reverb? Don't you want to be in that space where like you just sound your best, where someone's just like, oh my God. Like, to get that, to achieve that, it takes a whole thing. It takes an artist to either have sound that can do that for you, or the sound person that's willing to work with your artist to create the sound that they care a little bit about that and that can communicate. But that does totally matter. You cannot skimp on that, guys. You can't do it. And you can work out a deal. You can negotiate things. As an artist, though, I think we might have said this offline, but it was just about like, do people might want to pay for me as an artist to bring sound. They might say like, well, I have sound. Like, well, don't just assume that I'm going to have what I need. If you want me to be the best you want me to be, like, I don't want to show up and I don't have a monitor. I can't hear myself. And now I'm going to have to listen to the speakers 10 feet away from me. Like, how am I supposed to hear myself? Like, nobody thinks about those things. At least a lot of people don't. And so it is important for the artist as well to ask those questions, to be like, am I going to be ready? Am I going to be supported so I can do you? And I just found to have the most fulfilled things. And it just becomes now where I have a team that just asks those. I'm not really the best at following up myself. So now I have people that do that for me, and they book for me, and they ask those questions, and it continues to evolve. I'll be like, I need to know the brands and models of what speakers and mixer they're using, because I personally need to know. Oh, I don't see a monitor here. Can you ask them if they're going to need a monitor? Okay, tell the client they don't have a monitor. I need one. Do they want to pay for me to bring that, or do they want to pay for the sound person to bring it? I need to hear myself. And you have to be able to communicate that, and hopefully there's time and they understand. So it's just conversations, and it's a little more communication. It really does matter to ask the right questions. For my team, when they ask questions about booking us, we give rates of our performance, and then we say, but also we can provide sound for you.
So those are like two separate things.
Yeah, it says here's a performance rate and here's a sound rate that we include for this amount of time.
Oh, it's so interesting that I never thought that you would actually like booking the artist, but then also thinking about the sound. I'm assuming that you probably want to do the sound yourself because you're working with like the gear that you're going to sound great on. Or
I'd rather not.
Really?
I'd rather not do the sound. I would love to work with a sound professional that I can say, this is what I want, and then they would do it. I think I just care that much because you're paying me, and this is a special day. So I want to do my best. And I think over the years, I didn't care as much. I could just be like, okay, what do you have? Okay, a microphone and a mic stand, and you got speakers somewhere? Cool. But then I realized, like, well, I can't hear. I'm not immersed in what I'm trying to do, so I can't really feel it. And I don't know if they're feeling it because I don't think they're hearing what I want to sound like.
So is that something you would like work with like a DJ? Like at a wedding, I'm imagining like, I guess I'm so naive to this, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, is this something that you work with DJs?
Yeah, we can. We can work with DJs, but DJs don't need to make sure that I have like a sparkle on my voice, which I call reverb. They don't have that stuff. They buy things that just have volumes and knobs that just go up and down. But that, as a musician, and what sound I want to achieve, it doesn't meet my needs. So as an artist, I will ask those things like, okay, you're already paying someone, you're paying a DJ. Well, in my experience, I know that most DJs wouldn't bring a monitor for me to hear. They wouldn't have the speaker sitting by my foot that's pushing out what I likely sound like to the audience. So I have no idea what I sound like. Mm-hmm. Am I even on key? Depends how far away these speakers are. Yeah. So if you're going to put a musician far away from the DJ because it looks better, well, if you're not going to at least give me a speaker that I can hear myself, I might get a bounce back. What if we're in a room where the music's just bouncing all over the place, and now I'm hearing myself 1 or 2 seconds later? I cannot give you a full performance. That's torturous. And I don't put that on the client, and I don't blame the client, because how would they know that?
And I think, as a planner, my point of view is a little different from yours, I think, because a lot of times if they're hiring a band or they're hiring performers, it's for a short amount of time for the whole wedding. So if we're bringing in separate sound, and again, I'm not a sound technician, I don't know, but I'm like, we have the DJ speakers, we have these other speakers. Do you get that feedback, that noise, right? So those are things that I'm thinking about. And then also visually, if we're setting up all this sound, the monitors on stage, then how is that looking for the rest of the night? Because now it's just an empty stage for 4 hours and then a 1 hour set, right? So for me, a lot of times I'm like, do we have the space to do the stage for the performance somewhere else? Have the DJ, the dance floor somewhere else? We've actually done setups with 2 separate dance floors because I wanted to make sure that people felt the vibe for both, but they were completely different spaces and feelings.
Maybe unpopular idea, don't have a DJ if you have an amazing live musician.
Well, if you have a live musician for only an hour, right? So a lot of
for the whole day, guys.
Well, a lot of our couples have hired, some very high profile local bands, and they're expensive for 1 hour, and they only perform for 1 hour. So we have no choice but to have them, but they have very large riders. They have a lot of sound equipment they need. They have early setups.
Huge riders.
Yeah. And so all of these things are things that we need to prepare, but it's from say 9 to 10 p.m. What am I going to do until 9? Like I still need sound.
Okay, but I want a live band. That's all I care about. I'm getting married and I want a live band.
The emotional butterfly.
Like if I'm sitting here and listening to this, I'm like, what do I need to consider? How do I best get those results that I want? So if I'm thinking about like, you're kind of scaring me a little bit about all those things.
Don't be scared.
But we see a lot of really amazing live artists at weddings all the time. Like if you're thinking about having a live artist, what question should you be asking? Maybe a company like yours, or maybe your coordinator, what you need to bring in.
It really does start, if ideally, with a coordinator that you look up and it seems to have great experiences with a lot of people, great testimonials, or you know them personally, because you definitely want to have people that are going to help the artist communicate. It does not come with the job. Artists are not always going to ask you the right questions and answer them. I just happen to own a company that books artists, and our job is to do all that communication with you. You're not going to have to talk to the musician that won't ask you the questions and they're going to just figure out day of. We ask you the questions, and then we send that information to the musician and they show up. So sometimes it works out really well to work with a company or other people that are going to do that for you. So I'd say if you know nothing and you want to make it easy for yourself, get someone that handles all of that and that will ask those questions.
It's kind of daunting though. Is it going to be hard to book a live artist? Is it going to be hard to bring in a band from a wedding? It's not that scary, right?
It can feel very daunting because again, you're reading these long contracts. You haven't ever heard of a writer. So you're kind of like, oh, what does this entail, right? Talk to your planner, talk to the band. If you've already hired a DJ as well, communicate with them to see what are those things that overlap. What are the things that you still need? If you don't have a DJ and you're going to have this band through the whole night, great. Again, what are those additional pieces that we need to pull everything together?
I am a huge fan of live music. If I had a choice, I would have a band. I would have a musician. For me, that's my jam. For all of our listeners, how can they find out more about having maybe you play or even like looking into booking a live musician for their wedding?
Thanks, Joseph. LiveMusicVerse.com is the best way to find an overview of artists we represent, and I'm on there. My stage name is J-Rock, J-R-O-Q. You'll see me, I'm on there supporting some other artists as well. So I represent myself. I have my primary duo, Simple Souls, that I've been rocking with Zaysha since the year 2000, and Simple Souls has been around since 2003. So we're on there, and by the time I'm sure this will come out, our website will already be able to revamp it. So it's just an artist directory, and what we tried to accomplish there as agents or people that represent artists is we try to give you an overview of the artists that you're going to get to try to give you at least closer to the idea of what you might experience at the gig. So we have videos some kind of video references that you know kind of what they sound like. But just remember, guys, like you're not going to get everything from a pre-recorded video. Just this is a voice and sound you generally like, and just know it's going to be completely different live and in person from any artist that you're going to feature. Like it's still an energy exchange. We're all doing it, you know? So yeah, please go there and you'll find everything you need, including all the music I represent and I play for.
Jenn, thank you so much for coming on today. We're wrapping up. But thank you for being here. I am excited to see you at gigs. You know that you are my favorite. I love that 90s rap vibe. Like no one does it like you and Zaysha. No one.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, you guys. Really appreciate what you guys are doing for our industry. It's really helpful for everybody. And congratulations, everybody out there that's actually trying to build a wedding for yourself. Excited for you.
Yay. Well, with that, it's a wrap, guys, and we'll catch you guys on another show.
Bye. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.